Hello, and welcome to Beyond Biotech, the weekly podcast from Labiotech. I'm Dylan Kassane, and this is episode 152 for the podcast, and it's a special one this week. Much of the attention of the biotech industry has been focused on the city of Boston this week, as the annual Bio International Convention hit town. Bio is the world's largest partnering conference for the biopharma industry, and thousands of innovators, out-licensors, venture capitalists, top pharma dealmakers, thought leaders, and more than a few politicians gathered for 3 days of meetings, presentations, and networking. In this week's episode, we call a couple of people on the floor in Boston to find out how their bio experience has been, how their partnering meetings have progressed, and what surprised them, how it feels to be in the middle of the biggest biopharma conference of the year. This week's episode is brought to you by Inpart. If you're in life sciences, you know how complex partnering can be. Whether you're searching for the right innovation, managing a portfolio of alliances, or navigating the path from first meeting to signed deal. That's where Inpart comes in. Inpart is a platform built specifically for partnering in pharma, biotech, and research. It brings together the tools, data, and workflows teams need to scout opportunities, manage submissions, and keep partnerships on track, from discovery through to alliance execution. Whether you're on the lookout for external innovation or trying to simplify internal coordination, Inpart helps you partner more strategically and move faster. To learn more, visit inpart.io. And now let's hit the floor and meet our first guest, Haseeb Ahmad, CEO of Purespring Therapeutics. So Haseeb, welcome to Beyond Biotech.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Hey, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and also about the company that you represent?
If I start with myself, I'll start at the very beginning. I think for most of us, where we come from has a big impact on where we end up. It's quite apt that I'm here in Boston over the next couple of days. Boston has many similarities with my hometown. So I grew up in the UK in a city called Liverpool. So both port towns, saw significant trade, immigration, economic activity back in the day. But both towns with a real sense of community. And within that community, both of my parents were physicians. So my mother was a primary care physician, and my father was a nephrologist, which is quite pertinent to why I chose to join Purespring. Purespring's a precision nephrology company. We recently, in quarter four of last year, completed a Series B financing, just over $100 million, with some top-tier investors, which I think is really, in a tough environment, validation from external sources into the technologies that we have. So if you bring together kind of my personal background, my professional background, in many ways, having spent 25 years in big pharma, I recently, 3 months ago, joined Purespring as a CEO. In many ways, this is kind of my life's work, with the opportunity now to lead an organization, a community of people who want to make a real positive dent in the world of kidney disease.
Tell me about what Purespring is doing for kidney disease. What makes you stand out there at Bio?
Yeah, what makes us unique is that we are a leader in precision nephrology. So we're the only company that specifically targets kidney disease at the source. It's based on podocyte biology. So we target the podocyte, which is a key cell in the glomerulus. The podocyte's responsible for a couple of things, filtration within the kidney, but also glomerular architecture. And when you get dysfunction of that podocyte, obviously can lead to kidney disease and ultimately long-term into end-stage renal failure. We're the only company that's demonstrated an ability to deliver therapeutic targets to the podocyte. We've shown this in large animal models and in multiple murine models. We can treat both monogenic and non-monogenic diseases. Our lead candidate is for IgA nephropathy, PS002, which is soon to go into clinic. So we're taking quite a revolutionary approach to kidney disease with this proprietary targeted local delivery platform that we have.
So why did you come to Bio this year? What were your expectations going into the event?
For me, as I mentioned, I'm 4 months now into kind of the biotech sphere, having been in biopharma. This is the biggest biotech event, 20,000 people, all in one location. And for us as a company, as we're transitioning from a preclinical to clinical stage company, it's really important for us to almost step out of the shadows and start to tell our story, connect with other potential partners who share our ambition within kidney disease, and to really get a sentiment for how people are feeling, both about renal disease. So there's a number of investors and potential partners here focused on renal disease, but also how people feel just generally around the market.
And did you have meetings set up before you arrived? You were able to reach out to people in advance?
Yeah, the platform was great, actually. Got a flood of meetings. Yesterday was actually my first day. Had 9 back-to-back meetings, so it was a pretty full-on packed day, all with exactly the kind of people we were looking for. So oversubscribed, I would say, just like our Series B.
From the discussions that you've been having in meetings and also on the floor yesterday, what's been the big topic of conversation, I guess, apart from the work that you're doing in renal?
Over the last 9 or so months, even prior to me coming into biotech, there's really the same themes that are coming up, but maybe the mix and shift is changing. So at a macro level, clearly, geopolitics is creating significant volatility. Markets don't like volatility. The big overhang I think we've had in biotech over the last number of years is just access to capital. And it's across the chain. So obviously on the VC side, when I speak to colleagues of mine who are trying to raise money, it's tougher, and VCs are moving more to de-risked companies with assets which perhaps later stage or significantly de-risked. But also, if you speak to the VCs, I think they're struggling a little bit with a macroeconomic uncertainty to raise funds from their LPs as well. The IPO market's been pretty closed over the last number of years. So I think all of these topics remain the same. But I think it's all really stemming right now from the geopolitics, because our ability to come out of this cycle is really a function of kind of how stable markets are and how confident investors are in investing in perhaps slightly higher risk profile companies or industries.
Is it a matter then of just waiting these things out, knowing that nothing is going to go on forever, even the uncertainty that we've got today?
No, I think it's not. The fundamentals in our industry are still very good. So there's still very good science, good clinical research, and remaining disciplined on those priorities, I think, is very important. And the best science still wins. And large pharma companies still have a lot of money on their balance sheet. I think what it's more a case of right now is hype doesn't sell. So you need to really provide clear, unambiguous claims for your products. So people want to see clinical data. You need to have discipline and execution in developing that clinical data, but you also need to be disciplined in developing an equity narrative and communicating that, so it's clear and unambiguous to investors or potential partners what it is that you're building and what you can offer.
Has anything surprised you there at the event so far? Anything out on the floor?
I think what struck me rather than surprised me, and this is a positive, is the cautious optimism. I think it could be argued over the last number of months, perhaps some people were more on the optimistic, pessimistic side, if you like, but it's moving more towards optimism, still with a heavy dose of pragmatism. The other thing that struck me, and probably this is more of a surprise, is it's not just about the science, it's also about policy. So lots of people talking about the FDA, some of the noises that they're making when it comes to rare disease, cell and gene therapy, how they're certainly talking the talk. But I think that the policy discussions that people are having probably has struck me and surprised me.
Does it seem international out there on the floor? I mean, with 20,000 people, it's a global event, but it's still very much centered in the United States. Does it feel like a global meeting?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at the stands, you see, I'm thinking of some of the countries now, Lithuania, Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, Australia, Great Britain, everyone's here. They've got their own stands, and it's very much a global meeting. But also in the discussions I'm having, a pleasant surprise has been, we're here in the US. I'll be meeting potential partners who are US based, US nationals, all their experiences in the US. But the focus is very much on global potential of assets, regulatory divergence, what other regulators are thinking. So it's very much, I think all the people here firstly, they come from all parts of the world, but the discussions are very much about with a global mindset.
You had all of these meetings yesterday, which is fantastic. A great first day for you there. But did you get a chance to look at the program of presentations and conference talks at all? Or did you get a chance to get out of the floor and into the rooms?
Unfortunately not. From 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. we were back to back. I did want to get out. There was a keynote presentation from George W. Bush. I did want to get out to hear what he was going to say, but didn't get the opportunity.
Now, Boston is a long way from your home base. Is it really worth the trip all the way over? Are there some things you can do in person that you can't do virtually these days?
Definitely, it was worth coming over here. I mean, one thing you can't do remotely is build a human connection, and whether that, just through, the kind of the laughter and the joking that you can have face to face, even the side conversations, walking into a meeting room, walking out of the meeting room, they just can't happen remotely. And I think, meeting face to face is actually a great basis for then remote conversations. Maybe the other thing I would say is, whilst remote is clearly efficient, there's nothing more efficient than coming to a meeting where you've got 20,000 people. I've had the ability to, 9 people yesterday, 7 meetings today. It'd be very difficult to schedule that remotely. So everyone blocks 2 days out of the 3 days out of the calendar, comes to one location. It's a super efficient and effective way to meet people.
You've got all of these meetings here. When you leave Boston, when does the follow-up begin?
It's already started. 4 emails went out last night in terms of specific follow-up. There'll be more going out today, but as soon as possible, we're already starting to follow up.
Are you going to other partnering conferences besides Bio this year?
We're still finalizing our plan for the second half of the year. Clearly, we will be going. So we'll be going to Jefferies in London, other individual kind of daily symposium that some of the investment banks are running. Probably the key ones that we've got in the second half of the year are Jefferies in London, but also on the clinical side, ASN, the American Society of Nephrology meeting in Houston. That's in November, 12,000 people, very similar to this in a very different way, where we'll have the opportunity to meet clinical opinion leaders and share the story of Purespring and the great progress that we're making.
Yeah, I'll just follow up on that, because how important are these scientific conferences where you're meeting people on the ground doing the science rather than meeting with deal makers and meeting with venture capitalists? Are they still important to a company like yours?
Hugely important. I mentioned earlier that the fundamentals are good in terms of science, but you have to have commercially viable products. If people are going to invest in your business, it has to be commercially viable, and there's no better insights that you get from clinical opinion leaders. As we become a clinical stage company and move through the stages of clinical development, we need the insight of clinical opinion leaders in terms of how we should develop the product. So they are hugely important. Obviously, for investors, when they invest, one of the first things they do is speak to thought leaders and ask what they think about particularly new and novel approaches to disease management. So it's really important that we get their insights, but also we share the progress that we're making and shape their views.
Haseeb, if people are interested in learning a little bit more about Purespring, where can they go?
So www.purespringtx.com. They can go directly to the website, Google Purespring. They can follow us on LinkedIn, on Twitter. You can also follow me on LinkedIn. I do post quite a lot on the company, and they get an opportunity to see how we're progressing. We've got some exciting milestones over the next 12 to 24 months.
Exciting milestones to come. It sounds like you've got a great conference there on your hands. Haseeb, thanks for joining us on Beyond Biotech today.
Thank you, Dylan.
We also had the chance to connect with Patrick Speedie, Chief Business Officer at Inpart. Patrick Speedie, welcome to Beyond Biotech.
Hey, how's it going?
Patrick, why don't we start by just getting you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Inpart.
Sure thing, yeah, no worries. So my name's Patrick Speedie. I'm the co-founder and chief business officer at Inpart. Inpart is a partnering platform, is kind of the way we describe it. It has a suite of software tools for operational excellence that people who are looking to do deal making and partnering in biopharma. So tracking everything from search and evaluation opportunities right through to due diligence alliance management. And we also have a network, which is called Connect, which is a system that's designed to help search and evaluation professionals enrich their outreach activities, identify new opportunities, and understand the landscape a bit better. Short summaries, a bit more detail in there, but hopefully that gives you a general feel.
For sure. I mean, what makes Inpart stand out when you go to an event like Bio?
It's a good question. I don't think we stand out if you see the size of the conference stands and the other companies that are here necessarily. But what I really like about our system is all the meetings, all the notes, all the documents, everything that's being shared and discussed is by and large getting noted down on our software platform. So we're almost like the undercurrent to the conference that's happening. And one thing that I find really interesting or cool, I suppose, is the big deal of next year or the year before may well be being entered into our system today. And hopefully our tools are helping people keep track of that information, share it with colleagues, understand what it means, make the right decisions, move those decisions forward. And hopefully we're playing a contextually small part of helping facilitate those things now and in the future. So yeah, I don't think we don't have the all whistles and bells of some of the big conference stands here at Bio, but I think it's interesting. I think more and more people we're getting more and more brand recognition and more appreciation of how we're helping people at the conference.
And does that mean you're working on both sides of the deal then? You've got pharma clients and you've also got biotech clients?
That's right. Yeah. So I guess we describe it as sort of like what are you doing in or out licensing? I guess that's one part of it. So, are you looking to find people to buy your assets, technology, therapeutics, to license them, to collaborate with them, or are you looking to buy those things yourself? So yeah, we have many, I think 400 or so biotech customers using our software for that purpose, and we have 60% of the top 50 pharma using our software to analyze deal flow and track deal flow and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's the same software, slightly different configuration, but it definitely goes both ways. Yeah.
So why did Inpart come to Bio this year? What are the expectations that you had coming into the event?
Yeah, it's a good question. I guess more and more over the years, I think it's become about seeing our customers. I like to think we're customer centric and we listen to our customers as much as possible, but there's no better opportunity to get in front of your customers and get them in a slightly more informal setting than on Teams calls, as it seems to be all the time at the moment today. So that's really good, meeting lots of customers. I got the chance to go to Kendall Square and meet some of the customers at their offices, which is great given that we're in Boston. But also, meeting new prospective customers as well, hearing what their pains are, what their needs are. The speed of technological innovation has never been faster than it is today. So we think about our product roadmap and our product vision, and a lot of that is influenced by the conversations that we'll have this week. And yeah, pleased to know, by and large, I think we're going very much in the right direction for our customers at the for.
I mean, you've obviously had one-on-one meetings there, but there's a lot of networking that goes on, a lot of walking around on the floor too. Are you getting a sense for a big topic of conversation, something that you're hearing about at different stands in different conversations? What stood out this year?
Yeah, I think probably got the benefit of the curse of just having pretty much back-to-back meetings in the conference all week, but yeah, went to one or two of the receptions, and I think China is a big topic of conversation. How do we access the research there? Who do we know? Who do we don't know? How do we get to know the market a little bit better? That's definitely been a big topic of conversation. The US, I think just the phrase like uncertainty seems to be a recurring theme. What does the new economic environment in the US mean for large companies, small companies? What does it mean for fundraising? How's that influencing the overall strategic rationale, and how people are thinking about they invest in early stage research, or they really invest in later stage research? Are they open to M&A or not? There's definitely a big dynamic because of that environment for sure. But I would say that I was probably expecting a little bit more fear and negativity just in general. But actually, there's a lot of positivity. It doesn't seem like things are slowing down necessarily. There's just a little bit of wariness in the cadence of how people are working, it feels like.
So that's a bit of a surprise then. People are a little bit more positive. There's a little bit more optimism floating around.
I think so. I don't know whether I'm just a natural optimist, but I think people seem to be upbeat. I'm not hearing about people killing therapeutic programs, but I haven't met with everybody. I've met with contacted a very small portion of the people that are here. And in the university world, there is murmurings around people worried about budget cuts and that kind of thing. The US grant funding is slowing down or being cut in areas, so that's definitely a concern. But universities are still doing research; they're still innovating. And in the pharma world, obviously there's concern about supply chain tariffs and that sort of thing. But it's slightly ancillary, I think, to the people that we're dealing with, and I'm not hearing too much doomsday commentary from people, which is good, I think. So yeah, general positivity, I think.
Have you had a chance to catch any of the conference programs so far, the presentations or any of the keynote addresses?
I have not, no, which is slightly disappointing because there's some really interesting tracks on AI and AI and drug development and that kind of thing. You can imagine that's a topic we're thinking about a lot, and it's a topic that we're talking to our customers about a lot. So I'm getting lots of good feedback directly from our customers, but there were some interesting presentations on AI. But I'm sorry, no, the short answer is no, I haven't had a chance to go to any of them.
But that could be a positive as well, right? If you're so busy going to meetings, sometimes the conference program has to sit to the side.
Yeah, you hope there's a chance for learning and insights and that kind of thing. But it's the reality of it. If you want to go to one of the presentations of the talk that's 3 flights up, you need an hour slot to get to a 30-minute presentation. It's been a bit tricky.
Now, Boston's a long way from home for Inpart. Was it worth a trip all the way across the Atlantic to meet people in person? Are there things you can do in person that you can't do over a Teams call?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, and yes, it definitely is, because in a world of Teams and Zoom, it almost seems bonkers that 20,000 people fly all into a city to all meet in person when they could just meet separately. But there is definitely something in the sort of human connection of being sat in front of someone and getting to see the white in their eyes, how they react when you say certain things. There's a lot you get and hear from people's body language as much as what we say, and you also get what you don't get on like the Teams call and the Zoom call is the 5 minutes before your meeting and the 5 minutes after your meeting, and the informal bump into people over a coffee and that kind of thing. It's a higher quality of connection, I would say. If you never met anyone before you do a Teams call, that's still fine. But I think I'd like to think that humans are still. I think being in person is still a valuable part of our psychology, and that's seems like the conference doesn't feel like it's got any smaller anyway.
For a company like Inpart, when does the follow-up from Bio begin? I mean, is it something that you're doing right on the ground today, or is this something you'll do over the next couple of weeks?
Definitely, it really depends, but it starts straight away. Like, really good quality notes are important from meetings. I had several people say, "Oh, it's so difficult. You make a note and then you can't remember exactly what it was." So I've learned in the past that you've got to make good quality notes as soon as possible, or they leak out of your mind. And the follow-up will start probably in the airport on the way home. There's a couple of key immediate actions that are happening. So, you want to get those out straight away. Ideally, you want to get phone calls booked in next week if you can. And then there are others that will be a bit more sort of, I don't know, still short term, coming month, some medium term, next few months, and some probably longer term, building relationships to maybe touch base in the new year. But it starts straight away. I think if you leave it a month and then start to follow up, I can absolutely guarantee people have forgotten that they met with you in the context around it. So it definitely starts. I've got a lot of full day tomorrow till 4 or 5 o'clock to the airport for an 8 o'clock flight. But it will be the airport's big laptop open and brushing up on my notes and setting those first actions.
Now, Bio is the biggest partnering conference of the year. It's 20,000 people. It's 3 big days. But there are other partnering conferences. Where else will we find Inpart for the rest of the year?
Yeah, that's a good question. We're launching a brand new alliance management suite in our software. So we've just been at a couple of US-based alliance management conferences. We're going to be at another one in the next few weeks where Our product leader presented last week, and we're going to be doing a presentation at the upcoming one as well. So we'll be at some alliance management conferences. We'll be at the Bio 4 conference. We've been at the Biospring one. So we'll be there as well. We'll be planning probably to attend JP Morgan probably later in the year, I think. And probably there's a smattering of other ones in between that we'll be attending as well. But they're our key ones are, Bio this year. We've got six people here. Big investment, and alliance management. Yeah, that's going to be another part of us really trying to get out there and talk more about our alliance management stuff.
Sounds like interesting times for Inpart. Patrick, Speedie, thanks for joining us on Beyond Biotech today.
No worries. Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Next up is Igor Fisch, CEO of Newbiologix, president of Fongit, and a board member of the Swiss Biotech Association. Igor Fisch, welcome to Beyond Biotech.
Oh, hi, Dylan. Thank you very much for having me on board.
Igor, you wear any number of hats, but at Bio, you're there for a particular reason. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about what Newbiologix does?
Yeah. So basically, I'm at Bio as the CEO and co-founder of Newbiologix. So basically, what Newbiologix does is try to translate science into a platform that can be used by the industry. We are active in the cell and gene therapy field, and our idea is to improve the way at which the drugs for gene therapy are manufactured. My history is I'm a scientist by education, and back in 2000, I co-founded as well a company called Selexis that was involved in actually building a new platform for the manufacturing of monoclonal antibodies, and we were very successful with 10 products on the market and more than 150 in clinical trials. And when we sold the company, we decided with the co-founder, Nicolas, to seek whether we can implement our knowledge in establishing a novel platform. And that's why Newbiologix was born in 2022. So and I have many other hats, but the Newbiologix is the most important one at Bio.
What makes you stand out at an event like Bio? What really makes you unique?
I think what we bring in is the fact that we have created a startup that is really focused on one thing, which is how can we help the manufacturing of AAV particles for gene therapy. And for that, we were able to raise money. So in 3 years, we were able to translate already scientific data into a platform that is already used by the industry. So for us, what makes us unique today is the fact that we have been demonstrating our capacity to innovate and translate science into product. And we demonstrate that with Newbiologix. And that's why we seem to have a lot of success at Bio, is because we are able to translate those data into products.
Now, you've come to Bio this year. What are your expectations going into an event as big as this?
Yeah. So I think Bio, if you are in the biotech industry, I think Bio is one of the main conference or convention where you meet all the people. And the biotech industry is all about meeting people, licensing products, sub-licensing, and also discussing with people. So for us, Bio has always been important. And I have to tell you that I'm at Bio since more than 20 years. And from year to year, we see the advantage. People can see you. And business is not about video. Business is about meeting people and talking to people. So for us, Bio is the most important. Yeah.
And how have these last couple of days gone for you? Are you having good meetings, making connections like you hoped you would?
So we have a booth at Bio. Okay, although it's not a big booth, it's a rather small booth. But we had a constant traffic of people coming in and asking, but how can you impact the gene therapy field? So that means we are starting to create the relationships. And we already have some partners with whom we have deals that comes and say, what the next product line? So I think for us, the first 2 days were extremely successful so far.
A lot of companies will go to Bio without a booth. In your experience, do you need a booth to make some good connections, or can you do it another way?
I think you have two ways to make connections: booth or partnering. If you're a small company, initially, when I was much younger, I used to come at Bio with no booth, but a lot of partnering, because that's a way to meet people and to make sure that they know you. Today, we have a bit more of experience, so combining booth and partnering allow you to meet people at the partnering meeting and at the booth. So you have 2 points of interaction that I think are very important for us.
Now, from these discussions that you've had in meetings, on the floor, at the booth, even at the networking events there, has there been a topic of conversation that's been repeated a few times, that you're hearing from a few different people, this is what people are talking about?
So there are, as you would expect, two topics. One is a political topic, which I will not raise now. And the other one is we have a tendency in our industry to see more services coming in. So the pharma industry is now trying to outsource more, and we see a trend. So that means we will get more and more companies focused on providing services to the pharma so that they can accelerate and use basically new tools for developing their own drugs. On the politics side, of course, there are issues, as you know, as we all know. And the problem of that we see, and that's what we were discussing, is the flow of money is a bit more difficult these days because there are uncertainties and investors don't like uncertainties. So that's what we observed.
Have there been any surprises out there on the floor? Anything that you've seen that's just made you sit up and go, wow? To be honest, no. It's in these conferences, you never see somebody completely unique on you because usually it comes and it's already announced and so on and so on. So I haven't seen something really crazy coming in out, but what I see is a tendency of maturation in our industry. And I believe that this maturation will end up with probably a lot of consolidation in the next 2 or 3 years, I think. Yeah. Now, as well as the partnering program and the booths that everybody can see at the exhibition, there's also a conference presentation program, a keynote program there. You had a chance to sit in on some of those. Can you tell me what were some of the messages that came out?
Yeah, so I've been in few of them, mainly focused on manufacturing or drug manufacturing. And the take-home message from most of the CDMOs is the industry is growing. The needs of certain way of manufacturing is growing. And they have a great need of new technologies. And that's a big need in our industry, is you need to have new technologies in order to fight for the cost of goods for producing those drugs. And if you want to bring back, especially in the US, if you want to bring back manufacturing from Asia, then we will need to find new solutions to produce at cheaper costs.
One of the discussions that's been going on around manufacturing is the difference between 20 years ago when we were talking about volume, and now we tend to be talking about expertise and skill and technology.
Yeah.
Is it really resolving in favor of having the expertise to do something rather than just a capacity to make a lot of it?
I think you will need both. I believe that capacities will have to go down because we don't need that big capacity. So if you combine expertise, then you may be able to be in a position to work with actually smaller capacities. And I think that the arrival of AI into the world of manufacturing will impact, because I think the expertise will come from there and the efficiency as well. So I believe that it won't be a question of volume, it will be a question of expertise. I agree with you.
Has AI been something that people are talking about a lot at Bio?
To be honest with you, a lot of people try to talk about AI but avoid to actually confront AI. And it's interesting because not a lot of people talk about it. I like to talk about it because I believe that's going to happen. But it's true that people are trying to avoid the question or bypass the question, and they focus on other things. But I think that AI will be a revolution in our industry soon.
Now, Boston is a long way from home for you. Do you think it's worth the trip to be heading over to Boston for Bio this year?
Yeah. It's, even if after bio we get one or two partners that sign a contract with us, it's a whole of success. So it's not that much how much you spend, it's how can you use your time at bio to be as efficient as possible. And as human beings, we are not AI, so we have to make sure that we build the confidence and the trust of the people from a human perspective. And that's what I love at bio.
And is that easier to do face-to-face than it is over a screen in a Visio or a Zoom call?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's, it's it's the same issue with AI. I'd rather talk to somebody face-to-face because you have a social component that is in there. And either you match or you don't match. But when you match, you get so good interactions. And you cannot have that in Visio or anything else. So I think it's very important. And, personally, being French, we like to interact with people. So for us, it's a win-win.
Now, when does the follow-up for Newbiologix begin? Is it something you already do on the stand, or are you waiting until you get home?
Oh, no. We do every day. We summarize our day. We look at, the booth, the frequency of people coming to the booth. We look at partnering, who's going to contact whom. And when we are back, we know exactly who's going to contact whom as a follow-up. And my bet is if you don't do that, you lose the momentum of this social relationship you created. And that's where you lose potential partners. So that's why it's very important to be very reactive and to the social contact you had at bio. And we do it as within bio, actually.
So talking about momentum, talking about nurturing these relationships, what are the next conferences that we're going to find you at after bio is done?
So basically, Newbiologix will attend all the bios. There are two bios in Europe, Biospring and Bio-Autumn. And that's where we go. And also, we heavily participate in the ASGCT, so American Society for Gene and Cell Therapy. We just went out from New Orleans in the US, and there will be one in Europe towards November. So we will certainly attend that.
So scientific conferences and partnering conferences, you're not choosing between them, you're going to both.
So basically, as a CEO, I'm more going to the convention and the big partnering meetings. I have my R&D scientists that attends to few conferences that are really focused on science. But personally, I go to the meetings where I meet people and I can engage into potential partnering.
It sounds like you're going to be nice and busy at Newbiologix. Igor, thanks for joining us today on Beyond Biotech.
Dylan, thank you very much, and I wish you a good day.
That's it for this episode. Don't forget to check out all the latest news and analysis at Labiotech.eu. I hope wherever you are in the world, you have a great week ahead. Thanks for listening, and I hope you'll join us again next time for another Beyond Biotech.